I'm Rob Chaffee, and this is Comedy Reset, a live stream where comedy creators and industry insiders talk honestly about their careers, creative process, fears, failures, and what it's like to be in the game. Usually gets a laugh when I do that. But the real reason we're here is to hear from you, the viewers. So, starting now and throughout the rest of this show, please start typing your comments below or to the side or wherever they may be on your device in the platform that you're watching on. We really, really, really want to hear from you, with you and for you, but from you mostly. All right, enough of that. Our panel today, I have a piece of paper with all the names on it, but let me just bring that up. You'll see how this comes into play when you hear what our question of the day is. It'll explain itself in just a moment. Our panel of comedy creators consists of Dewayne White is a DC stand-up comedian. He's also a combat wounded veteran who served in the Army for 23 years. Much of his humor is drawn from his unique take on his military experience, his life as a husband and father, and the general craziness of life. He lives in Woodbridge, Virginia.
Hey.
Zygy Susser has a very quirky sense of humor and comes up with thoughts and ideas that are oftentimes so hilarious, he's afraid he might die laughing. He's been a stand-up comedian for over 5 years and around New York City. Zygy lives in the East Village with his wife and his bird. Ellen Orchid is a New York-based stand-up comic, actor, playwright, and psychiatrist. She has performed stand-up on The View and has had a speaking role as Dr. Sharon Zaluski on The Sopranos. She currently resides on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Paul Venier has been called the one-man comedy tornado. And after seeing one of his shows, you'll understand why. Paul's shows consist of super high energy, guitar parodies, piano expertise, serious music, props, and rapid interplay with his audience that is often stunned by his clever quickness.
Ooh.
Oh, that's the audience is stunned. Yes.
Well, I've never said that.
Most amazing, though, is the way Paul continually weaves the crowd throughout the show using his photographic memory. Born and raised in Levittown, New York, he now calls Tom's River, New Jersey, home. All right. That's my announcing stuff. Now to why we're here. Oh, wait. We've got to bring Zygy back on. There he is.
Zygy disappeared.
Zygy disappeared, but he's back now.
There he is.
All right, guys. Let's get back into situation here. You got to put me in the middle, I think, for now. Okay, so today, our topic, the question of the day, is how do you prepare for stand-up? I have a graphic here. Paid a lot of money for this. How do you prepare for a stand-up show? Well, obviously, not enough for most stuff that I do, as you can tell. But seriously, I think in the beginning, I over-prepared from, I remember probably my first, second, third, fourth gig. I spent the entire week before practicing the 3 minutes that I was going to do over and over and over and over and over. But I mean, it kind of makes sense though, because I hadn't had any experience with it. And I had a traumatic brain injury when I was younger. It was called the 1970s. My brain was injured. All the things I did back then. So my short-term memory is terrible. My long-term memory is not much better. So I really needed to do that. And over the years, I've gotten a bit lackadaisical about preparation for a show. I mean, I will come in and actually, to be honest, I don't even think if I'm doing something I'm comfortable, like I'm at a place I've been before, I'm with people that I kind of know, especially if I'm hosting, because my deal is I like to be in the moment when I'm hosting, right? It's not to say I don't do material. I do a lot of material while I'm hosting, but I've done most of that material so much that I can basically do it in my sleep. Right. So that, which goes to show, if you've seen me once, don't bother. Seen it. The biggest challenge for me really is introducing new material, right? When I have new material that I work on, I have a difficult time for me feeling that it will be okay whether I say it right or wrong. I just got to get it out there. I want it to be perfect. So I go back to that guy that I used to be when I started, where all week, I mean, 2 lines, 3 lines maybe, I will keep going. And it might be the hackiest thing ever, but I keep going over it. And then that moment when I actually do introduce it into the act, I feel like I'm lifted out of myself. It's a whole different feeling because I don't know what's going to happen. And is the joke going to work? Is it going to fall flat? And I'm not talking about throwaway jokes, right? When you're in the middle of something, you see something, you kind of throw it away. But I'm talking about, I prepared this. I know it's a good joke. I've tested it on people. I just haven't put it on stage yet, So my process is essentially that, where I don't give a crap, right? Especially if I get the check before the show. I get paid before the show. Yeah. But in all seriousness, I mean, it's something that I find fascinating because some comedians are, to me, way over prepared, and some just kind of can meander in and just, 1 minute be doing, building ships in a bottle, and then doing my comedy right there. So Dewayne,
yeah,
what's your experience like? What do you do? How do you prep for a show? What do you do?
I hide in my basement, away from my family. I think I'm kind of in the middle. What you said resonated a lot. Like I over prepare. I know I over prepare, but like now as I've been doing it, so I'm about 3 years in now, and so if it's a bit that I know I've done a billion times and it works, I think what I'll end up doing, I just kind of rehearse the kind of the transitions, like in between the first line, last line of each bit, and so I know where I'm going. If it's a longer set, and then but I have the same deal though. If it's a new bit, I'll do it 100 times down here in the basement, wandering around with a microphone in my hand, driving my family crazy. And then right before, and I can't do the thing where it's like you just walk in and go. Like I have to go when I go to a club. I was like, I'll go in and I'll sit down. I'll scratch out some notes just to kind of remind myself. I don't look at them when I'm up there, but like as long I just scratch them out, so it kind of reminds me in my brain. And then just kind of, but yeah, I got to get myself like kind of psyched up, like, listening to music or something before I go up. I can't, I'm so jealous of those people that can just walk in and like you said, be building ships in a bottle and then be like, hey, I'm on. It's like, no, I gotta pump myself up a little bit.
And I remember very clearly one time I drove a headliner from Long Island to Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, jeez.
and it was like 9 hours or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And literally, we got there 10 minutes. I was opening; he was the headliner. We got there 10 minutes after the show had started. They were announcing us. We ran in, and I had no. I mean, I literally couldn't take even my coat off. Went up on stage, and it was one of those few times where there was no getting my head together.
Yeah.
Right. And nothing. And then add to that all the panic of, oh, we're late. And I'm hitting my foot's on the gas. I'm trying to get there. But that typically I don't, I need at least like.
How did it go? That's the question. How did it go? Was it just like freeing or was it?
No. I'm actually banned from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh man.
See, Dewayne, it's Ohio. See, it's Ohio.
It's Ohio, man.
It's Ohio.
State of Ohio.
Zygy, you're seem to me to be a kind of an organized guy. How do you get yourself together?
I go to Dwayne's basement. And,
Me too.
It's a party.
I mean, I'm not organized. I'm very mixed up. Whatever. I'm a guy who waits to the last minute. That's terrible. But like right before the show, let's say a day before, I'll start going over things. Anybody I'll speak to, I'll say, "Can I run this by you?" Since I'm in New York, I try to do an open mic at the club where I'm going to be, so that I can see what it's like to go on stage, what the microphone's like, stuff like that. You can't always do that. They don't always have open mics, but I try to do that before I go on and do that set, you know. And now that I'm doing more storytelling than joke telling, a lot of jokes in the stories, but it's easier to remember stuff because the story has a beginning and an end. So if I forget one or two things, it's not terrible. Whereas when I was telling jokes, if I forgot where I was, it was horrible. It was like a deer in headlights. But now, I can kind of wing it, whatever. So it's a little less stressful because it's a story.
So when you do a story, do you write out the story and bring it with you on stage, or do you have notes or keywords or anything like that you use?
Well, because of Zoom, like everything was put on, these index cards. So now I'm used to that. So I'd write it out in a notebook in the beginning and then put highlights on the index cards and just cheat and look at them during a Zoom show or whatever. Now that, we're back to live, I can't do that. But I've done them so often that I kind of remember them, so it's easier. It's better,
Alan, what kind of preparation do you usually endeavor in before a show?
Well, I usually, I like the notebook and index card system. I will write out the set with key phrases. I'll write out the whole thing. And then I like to see it, and that gets into my brain. And then I speak it aloud, and sometimes I'll audio tape it on my iPhone and then play it, so I hear it, I see it. I have a little cheat sheet or a set list that I have on my person or on the stool, if I can, with a water bottle. But this way I know if I go up, I have it. And, you can make a joke out of using it as well. I also do, I need to really tune everything else out a good chunk of time before the show. Like I do a kind of meditation that I do where I close my eyes, I do a little deep breathing, or what they call circular breathing, in through the nose. You hold it out the mouth. It just calms me, centers me, and I imagine the third eye right here. I'll do that like a few hours before just to get in the zone. I know, wrong finger. But and then I'll also do. That's funny. Then I'll also do a vocal warm up because when we're running around, our voices are up here in our throats and we're kind of tense and holding our breaths, but I just try to bring it all down. And I'll do a little breath work from the belly. Ha, ha, ha. I'll do a little singing, ha, just to get into my body and feel more connected to my body and my emotions. And this might sound crazy, but in my apartment before I head out to the gig or whatever, I like really do dancing. I'll dance to music. I'll do stretches, jumping jacks, just to really get connected to my body. And when I get to the venue, I'll go in the ladies' room and do the same thing. And then I feel alive and centered. I do a lot of stuff.
Rob, you do that. You do that too, Rob. You go into the ladies.
I go into the ladies' room and do aerobics too.
Oh, that was you. I thought that I saw you.
That was my tip.
And I can't talk to. If people come up to chat, I'll say I'm sorry. I'll talk to you afterwards, just so I can.
Yeah, you know what? And you probably don't believe me when I tell you this, but I typically cannot eat before the show. I have to wait till after the show, even when that's the way I'm getting paid. And like I mentioned before, I like to make sure I get paid before I go on, you know. So sometimes you work for food. It's just the kind of the way it is. Paul, you're an exception, I think.
I don't fit the mold.
You don't fit it.
My whole preparation really is technical because I bring, you know how I am. I bring a PA system, lighting, a piano, guitar, props. So my thing is for me to be prepared. I usually show up 2.5 hours before the doors open to the public. Wow. And I'll set everything up. I'll do a sound check, make sure everything's working, nothing's broken, and then I relax. And I can talk. I'll talk to people right up to the time I hit the stage, but I don't prepare any other way other than make sure everything works technically. Because if something doesn't work technically, that will make me really nervous. I'm usually not nervous. I'm easy to get on the stage. It's hard to get me off the stage. I'm the kind of person. I remember a club owner once said to me, "Venier doesn't do a finale; he does a finally." So to me, it's just, so my whole preparation is really, it's all technical. Just make sure everything works, make sure everything's fine, and I'm fine then. I just sit there and relax, and I like to stay in the room when there's opening act in front of me. I like to watch the crowd. I like to get the feel of the room before I go up on the stage. If they work anybody in the crowd, when I get to my part, I make sure I go over everything they just did. I bring them back into the show. I bring everybody back into the show again. Then I do my working with the crowd. So I try to be in the moment. I try not to think anything about the show at all until I get up on the stage.
But the show, the show does have a format. When you do that,
I have certain things I always do, and I weave around that with the audience.
Right, but you never. And you've developed this over the years. How the show's developed, and so for you, like my 3 minutes that I know and love, I know it, and I can do it from heart. You can do an hour and a half of that with your eyes closed, but probably without the audience, right? But there's an interesting.
I like the audience, yeah.
Right, yeah. But you also have a photographic memory, as I mentioned in your intro,
right?
And what sort of advantage or probably
I know what you're saying.
the word.
Big advantage for me because you know how my act is. I do crowd work, but I'll talk to people during the show, during my set. And whatever they say, I keep it locked in, and I keep bringing it back, and I'll expand the circle and bring it in, expand the circle. By the end of the show, everybody feels like they know each other in the audience because I play with everybody.
Right. I've seen you 20 people down the line, you go back to.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the name of everybody that's on this right now.
I can tie it all together. By the end, it all connects. It all connects.
Right. Right. Did you ever write out your act in the beginning?
When I fell from music to comedy by accident, believe me or not, the first thing I would do when I auditioned at the Improv in New York, I had like a little list of just words, bits I wanted to do, but I wasn't as interactive as I am now. I was interactive, but not as much. So I had a set list somewhat. Because back then they only gave you 20 minutes on stage at the Improv, so I had to make sure I knew exactly what I was doing and where it was going to end. So that's the only time I ever used a set list. I just go up there and just go. I don't think, I just go. What happens.
Dwayne, do you bring a set list up on stage?
I usually I have, and especially when I first started, I would write stuff out and I would have it in my pocket. Kind of took a play out of Rosenfield's book when I first, so that way if I screw up and miss, I can like you were saying earlier, it's like, oh no, I wrote these great jokes and you're going to be mad if I don't tell it to you. So I've done that, but now it's usually just like kind of a scribbled list of, like an actual set list, like I'm going to do this joke, then I'm going to do this joke, or maybe like the first 2 words of a line. But it's always just kind of in my back pocket. You know, I don't know. There's something about having it in your pocket and never needing it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like a psychological thing, but yeah, that's about all I take up there now.
Yeah, I mean, I see it a lot. Well, I saw Carlin right before he died.
He always had a set list.
Always had. Not only did he have a set list, he read from his notes.
Yeah, here we go. And now the next, you go now.
Next one, right? Exactly.
Right.
He said, "I'm working on this for HBO." All right, you don't like it, too bad. And then, but he would read. He wouldn't read everything. Give him credit. I mean, and the guy was nearly dead when I saw him.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, but that's
more stand-up of all time, as far as pure stand-up.
Yeah, right. But I think especially newer comics get at this kind of into this kind of trap where they say, "Oh, I don't want to bring my notebook up. I don't want to bring my notes up.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring a reference up, and I want to be extemporaneous, and I want it to seem like even if I have it all memorized, I want it to seem like it came out naturally." But I know a lot. You know what? In the Borgata, the big theater in Atlantic City. I remember standing on the stage in Borgata, and everybody had their set list taped to the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like musicians would, Paul.
Yeah.
Like a band's gonna go, all right, so we're gonna do Let It Be, and then we're gonna do Band on the Run, and then we're gonna, they'd have it there on the floor.
Joan Rivers did that at the Duplex. She had these big cue cards with her act written out. It was charming. She rarely referred to it, but you just appreciated that she cared that much, It was funny.
Yeah. And now you reminded me when I saw Callan Quinn when he was doing those one-man shows.
Yeah.
He had a huge teleprompter in the back of the theater. I'm like, wow, Seinfeld's got a lot of money. Pay for that.
I wanted to talk about what you said before about new material when you try new material. I don't know how other people are, but for me, if I'm going to try new stuff out, I like to try it somewhat into the show more when people already won the audience over. I don't want to try it straight out of the gun because you're going to be nervous about delivering something new. I'd rather put it right in the middle somewhere or somewhere into the show where you already won. They're on your side already. Yeah,
we actually talked about this on a previous episode. There's a common reference is I'm going to use the family friendly term, the crap sandwich, right? Mm-hmm. Where you take the joke and you put it in between 2 jokes work, right? And then if it goes really south, the next thing you're doing is proven and works.
Right.
You get them back. Yeah.
My act is just one big crap sandwich. Take a bite. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been paid, so just take a bite. It's okay.
Just enjoy it.
Just enjoy
Paul,
it. I always find too. I don't know how you people feel, but I feel for me, I'll try stuff out maybe 4 or 5 times in front of 4 or 5 different audiences. I'll try it all different ways. If it doesn't go over, it's gone. And if it goes over, it's always in. I mean, I use the audience as my barometer. What stays in, what. That doesn't matter what I feel. I have to get the audience reaction. I have to get that reaction. So how do you guys feel about that? How do you do?
Yeah, they're the judge and jury ultimately.
For
if
sure.
they like it, it stays in.
Right.
The problem is sometimes you have one show they don't like it. I'm throwing it out. And
no, try it a couple times. You got to try
it a few times.
Yeah, for sure. 4 or 5 times.
Give it a chance. Give it a chance to polish up a little bit and see how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Paul, and
so Zygy,
Paul, I never had the honor of seeing you perform. Is it mostly crowd work, and do you lead them?
I would say I do like a 2-hour show or 2.5 hours, and I would say an hour of it is crowd work.
It's literally it's like a human tornado. It is such an apt description to see Paul Venier, and you have to see him live, and you have to bring your friends, and you have to buy extra drinks. You'll never have a better time. I'm telling you.
Thanks.
Telling you that. So Zygy, do you think about what you're going to wear on stage? Do you do things like that, or
there's I don't know if you heard of Gladys Simon. Maybe a lot of people.
Sure.
She I got up on her stage show and open mic. She says, "Wear blue. You got to wear a blue shirt." Blue. So I wear blue. I don't know if she's right or wrong, but she's been in the business so long. I wear blue, but whatever. Usually jeans and a blue shirt.
No stripes. No
No
stripes.
stripes, no stripes. But people say, you don't want to call attention to what you're wearing. You don't want people to be staring at, some logo on your shirt or
Yeah.
something that not listening to you. So, it's got to be, unobtrusive kind of.
Mm-hmm. Ellen, when you're, let's talk a little bit about like setting up a gig, right? And when you get the phone call and somebody says, "Hey, Ellen, I want you to do this show," and it's at a restaurant, and there's going to be this guy on it, and this guy on it, and this guy on it. What kind of questions do you ask the booker?
I say, tell me about the audience. What's the age? What's the demographic?
Yeah.
Is this a conservative crowd where you would want, do you need it to be squeaky clean? What's the average age, or, this kind of thing. And this way you can tailor your act. If it's a suburban audience, you don't want to do too much on the New York subways because they can't relate to that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do divorce jokes for a Catholic group or anything that's potentially offensive. You want to fit in, you want to win them over and be relatable. So I think that would be my first question.
Right. I'm thinking I typically have like a list of things if I'm doing a fundraiser, for example, right? It's always a good idea to find out if there are any people in like executives, if it's a charity organization, who's the president, who's the secretary of this, of whatever, who does this, who's the accountant or whatever, because they all know each other, right? And if you can learn a little bit about each one, it helps with the crowd work. Taught me that a guy named George Gallo taught me that. He came, we did a show out in Fire Island, and it was at a firehouse, and it was like for a firehouse fundraiser. And he showed up like an hour and a half early, and I was taking notes. He took notes the whole time. Like he's not like Paul. He doesn't have the photographic memory, but he did a lot what Paul did. He went around and started talking about people's things like, how the hell does this guy know, kind of thing. Right. He'll learn such a great lesson from that. It really helps to just even introduce you to us and people and just say, can you tell me a little bit about this guy?
And it wins the crowd over right away.
Yeah, right. Wins them right over all the way. Right, exactly. So, Paul, when you're doing, you've done television,
right,
and you've done pretty big theaters and things like that, and open. Have you opened for anybody big? You don't really go there.
Thousands. No. Don't forget, I've been in the business since I was 9 years old. So as a musician, a lot of famous music acts.
Really?
When I opened up when I was had my own show at Rascals when they first opened up for like 7 months, and everybody came in. I would open up for them that was working on the weekend. The famous people.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people, and most of them were really nice. I mean, I maybe some found idiots or people that I didn't like. Most of them were really nice. You had a few idiots, but
Did you ever have anybody tell you, I mean, because this is affected. I've been witness to this, and I kind of had people tell me, don't do this subject.
Well, I don't really
do this topic. Yeah, I know. You don't have to worry. I guess you don't have to worry about that. No. But, when again, too, you have to have a contingency plan, I think.
Yeah, you have to be able to adapt to your audience instantly all the time.
Yeah, not only the audience, but I don't want to say the venue.
Everything. Yeah,
and also the talent. I mean, if you've got a headliner there, and he says, "I'm gonna do Hillary Clinton jokes," and don't do any Hillary Clinton jokes,
right?
Or even more so, and I have no problem with this, but no F-bombs.
Yeah,
right. Dice comes in and says, "Okay, you get over for me. No F, just keep it clean, all right?"
Right,
because he wants that. He wants that.
A shock when he hits. Yeah.
Yeah, right. He wants the shock. So we're going to take a bunch of questions we got a bunch of questions from the people watching.
Cool.
We're going to take some questions, but first we need to pay some bills. So I am going to read a little thing. I'm not doing this 100% voluntarily, by the way. But I will do it. I want us to stay on, so I'll do it.
I feel compelled to make the following statement.
Here we go. If you've ever shopped at fancy places like Walmart, you know the feeling of walking away in shock after seeing the bill. How would it feel to get all your favorite products at a 99.98% discount and get it without even leaving your home? If you know where to look, you can find deals, bargains, and steals that are simply too good to pass up. However, the key is to search the internet for these bargains and deals. And that's exactly what this new website is all about. The best deals on the internet. This site is dedicated to tracking down the very best deals, making sure you get the best savings possible. Now's your chance to join a website with the best deals on brand name products. Save money on stuff you want. Get a new deal every day. Now I played a little video.
I'm a winner! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Congratulations to you all. How is this possible, you ask? It's easy with dealstrash.dumb. I won this non-FAA compliant drone on dealtrash.dumb for only $7.14. Listen here, I just won this combine tractor which retails for $364,000 for just under 47 cents. I won this authentic Egyptian mummy for only $87.32. Hey, these are not actors. They're just real simple people. Just like you. I just got all this for under $100. Rhinoceroses sell for as little as $5. Magical leprechauns in their pots of gold, $16. And congressmen are being bought for as little as $19.99. I only paid $55 for these cryogenic hibernation chambers for me and my wife. There is a nominal charge for each bid. It's a fair price that we came up with, and then we added a little bit more on, so now it's a little more than fair. Okay, I figured it out. After adding up all my bids and what I actually paid for this camcorder, I purchased this $300 camera for $450. Wait, what? And here's the best part of all, our money back guarantee. If you don't win, just try and get your money back. And the shipping is free. Try it today. What do you got to lose? You could win this bridge.
Funny. That was funny. How's Bobby doing? How's he doing?
I hate myself. Feel like I just ate a bowl of shakaroni. He's fine. He's fine. He's doing well. He's doing well.
Good.
He wanted to be here. He's taking a little breather this week.
Give him my love, all right?
I will. And with that, let me bring up the chat and we'll answer some questions from the viewers. From Phil Sweet. I'm not even going to read these. I'm just going to show them, guys.
Right on.
So be prepared. Phil Sweet says,
say I had to read.
Like, who helped me Paul? That's so small.
The truest show prep I ever got was on the afternoon of the show. If you have a choice between reviewing your set or taking a nap, take a nap.
Take that nap.
Phil, by the way, is I believe over 70. By the way, I would agree with that.
So much. Don't think so much. That's what I said.
Yeah, right.
You know what I used to do in the beginning? I used to take like a hot bath the day of the show. And boy, it's so calming and stuff like that. But then I'd forget everything.
I take an hour-long shower and just run my set in the shower. My wife loves it. She loves it so much.
It has such a nice
trying to do her hair.
Bathroom has such a nice reverb sound too.
Exactly. It's so good.
Yeah, it sounds like you're playing Carnegie Hall. Yeah, that's right. Kevin Carrier.
Well, at home they held me over another week.
Oh man, I have this pregame playlist that I do. That's okay. The music thing. I have a pregame playlist that I call pregame, and it's got everything from like hard rock to like bubblegum pop. I like to some of my comics friends make fun of me because I have like Selena Gomez and stuff on there, something that'll kind of get me dancing a little bit before I go up. And I love the I love listening to like funk before I go up too, just
Cool.
to get me in kind of a fun mood.
And this might surprise Dewayne. This next question: is there any kind of music you listen to get pumped up for a show?
I was answering that question. I have
For
premature
the benefit of our audio listeners,
yes,
because we're a podcast.
I know you said you weren't going to listen. You weren't going to read them, and we had to read them. I'm sorry.
I'm reading every one of them. Don't worry, buddy.
I'm sorry.
So, what about I like. I'm not like. I like my 70s rock.
Yeah.
I like my Salty Dog. I pretty much
Hey,
cranked that thing up.
Right.
Before the show. Paul was in that band. I'm doing a little
Oh, really?
kissing here. He was in the band Salty Dog.
Salty Dog.
Yeah.
There's a couple of songs I listen to. One is Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life, and Isn't She Lovely? Really gets me in the right frame of mind. And Hugh Jackman, The Boy from Oz, the Broadway soundtrack. His final song in the show is the show-stopping song called "I Go to Rio." It's like this great salsa music, gets you in the mood. And one thing Hugh Jackman said in an interview, I just want to mention, he says before he goes out on stage, he blesses the audience. Like he says, like, I'm here for you. I'm here to make you happy. This is for you, my gift to you. That sort of thing. It might sound a little funny, but it puts you in a generous frame of mind,
Yeah, I usually go out before, my first thing I say out of my mouth, I said, my job is to entertain you and your job is to have a good time and forget about the outside world for a while.
Right.
And I said, let's have a good time. Ready? And everybody goes, yeah. And they're ready. They're ready. That's it.
I haven't done that yet, listening to music before, but I'm so in love with this song that I've heard recently. It's The Sounds of Silence, done by a group called Disturbed. I don't know if you've seen it. But oh my God, it just blows me away. I love it. I'm thinking of doing it before I go on, but I don't know what it'll do to me. I'm so into it. I don't know how it'll affect me. But I
might put you in a dark mood, man.
You're going to have that nap, I think, is what's going to happen.
Catherine Perkins says, I'm in my basement already. I fret and worry. I write and rewrite. I dump my spleen. And then I get on stage and forget everything.
Oh, jeez.
And because of my head injury, Kathy's a friend of mine. She had a problem with a horse, believe it or not.
Oh, geez.
I try to go to the venue first for a mic or watch a show or just get the lay of the land. That was pretty much Zygy's advice. Mm-hmm. And as a host, when I host a lot of shows with relatively new people, and I've kind of built it into my checklist before when I usually go over the order and their times and everything. I walk them to how to get on the stage, right? I'll say, all right, here's the pathway. You walk through that side of the room. There's a stair here. Watch that wire. Because, there were times where I walked into a venue. I had no idea what I was doing. I thought I was going on the left side, and they're telling me at the last second, go on the right side. Go up.
Always go early. Always go early.
Always go early. Always go early.
I did a show not long ago, and because of COVID, I decided to bring my own mic. I don't know if that made any difference, but it was a small little place, and I just kept hearing reverberations back at me the whole time. It was horrible. And then I would put the mic away from me to avoid the reverberations. Then nobody could hear me. So I wish I had done a sound check. I wish I had gotten there early and checked it out. But it was horrible. It was horrible. So I learned my lesson.
Yeah. That's why I control my technical side. I control it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, get there early so you can sort those things out.
Yeah.
No surprises.
It also makes you look good with the promoter and the club if you do come early, right? Because then they don't have to worry about, are you going to show up? Will you be ready when you show up?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And all these little problems that they have to.
You don't want bad surprises. Technically, you don't want bad surprises because the audience doesn't know always the bad PA system. No, they say, "Look, the comic sucked."
I know. Yeah.
They blame it on the comedian. So you have to make sure everything's working properly before you go up.
Right. I recently did a winery out here on the eastern end of Long Island, and it was one of these rooms that was 25 feet high,
right,
and had a lot of hard surfaces.
Yeah, so it was
and
echo chamber.
Yeah, and the guy brought it kind of, I would have considered an underpowered PA system. It was a good PA
Right.
system, underpowered, right? And this guy's a really strong comic, doing it for 30 years, super strong. And I'm going on after him, right? He's kind of the MC or he's the opener, and I'm like watching it, and then nothing. Then he's not getting a thing.
Yeah.
He's not getting. But it sounds like. So I decided, listen, I tried to tell him why I was on. He couldn't see. I mean, he's busy doing his thing, so he's not looking at me, right? So when I go up, what I decided to do was I took the mic, put it down here, and just yelled at the audience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I bypassed it. Maybe it was giving a little resonance to what I was saying, but I bypassed it. And I have to say, I killed.
Yeah.
Killed.
Nice.
They all
Nice.
came after.
That's a good trick for like outdoor shows and those breweries with those high ceilings, man.
Yeah, they actually were throwing tomatoes at this guy by the end of the show.
Yeah.
And to me, they put me up on their shoulders, walked me around. It was great.
And that kind of answers the question that you asked Lizzie before. You asked about what do you ask when they offer a show to you. First thing I ask is, what kind of room is it? Is it a square room? Is it a rectangle room? Because I always say, if it's a rectangle room, put the stage, if there is a stage or I'm playing on the floor, put it on the long wall. This way everybody's close. Nobody's far away.
Yep.
The short wall, you get people so far away, they can't hear you. They're not part of the show at all.
Yeah.
You want people close. Comedy is intimate. You want people close.
Exactly.
That's the setup at the Comedy Cellar.
Right.
The stage along the long wall, and the ceiling is low, so the sound isn't lost.
Yeah. And you feel like, you're like, I mean, everybody's on top. I mean, literally on top of each other. Yeah.
Music you want big. Comedy you want small.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. 415 Comedy loves Ellen's deep voice.
Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know why I put that up. I thought it was clever.
That's a good point, though. It's like nobody likes to have like a really high squeaky voice. I mean, it's like I remember when I was a kid in theater class, they would always tell us like talk lower than you think you need to talk to everybody, the guys, the girls, everybody, like because they just tell us like your voice is more annoying than you think it is. That's what our
That's like when you record. Your voice is always, when you listen back to your voice, it always sounds higher than what you think.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why no one really likes their voices when they hear it back on recordings.
I have so many reasons I don't like my voice. There's so many. That's just one of so many.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We have one last comment, and it's about music again. Linda DeSantis says, I listen to the same music they play at a local club. Pumps you up. Let it get started. I can't go to Jersey. Are those songs?
Let's get it started in here. Let's get
it started. I guess I don't know that I can't go to Jersey.
Can't go to Jersey?
I think that's just a confession.
Is that like
it's a song about a restraining order, I think is what it is.
He's got Beer Bridges.
It's like New Jersey's version of No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I can't go to Jersey. I can't go to Jersey.
Wonder how he feels about Ohio.
So, guys,
I did notice that Bob's character on there had a Cleveland Indians hat. I'm just saying. I noticed.
That is Epi's thing. Epi Epperman. Yeah, there's a whole story behind the hat. Maybe one day we'll have Bob on and he can explain it. Okay, guys. So, final thoughts. What sort of things do you think are the best tips for somebody who's preparing to be on a stand-up show?
Breathe. Be in touch with your breath so the nerves don't get the better of you. Just try to stay in the moment, but also have your material reviewed so it's at your fingertips and you don't have to struggle to remember it.
Yeah, know your material as best as possible, but also try to be in the moment. Be there with the audience, and the audience picks up on that stuff. If you're present, they're with you. If you're in your head, they know it and they tune out. So it's important to be there with them. And
try not to rush, because you may be memorizing at a fast rate, but you don't want to deliver it remember, they may be hearing it for the first time, so slow down.
I think it sounds really cheesy, but they got have fun. That's what I tell. We do this class for veterans out here, and it's like I tell them every day. I'm going to ask you before your graduation show, what's the most important thing? It's like have fun, because if you're not having fun, and we've all been there when we've been on stage where it's like we just like, oh God, I want to get this over, and it's the worst feeling ever. And it's like why would you, it's if you're having fun when you're up there and you're just like, I am enjoying myself, then the audience will enjoy themselves and it will be a great time. So
Yeah,
I think that's
I
the
say
biggest thing.
I say the same thing. The connection there. I always say, people that are starting out, I always say, be likable. No matter what kind of material you have, make the audience is going to make their mind up right within the first 5 minutes. They're going to make their mind up whether they like that person on their stage or they don't like that person. And you can do the same material, but if you do it, I've seen people that are brilliant and clever and witty and everything, but then they're condescending to the audience, and the audience kind of pulls back. I've seen guys who are not as witty and funny, but the audience likes that person on that stage.
Mhm.
And if they like you, you can get away with almost anything on stage.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely it's about the audience connection. They have to connect with that stage persona, who that person is you're portraying. They have to like that person, or else they're not going to laugh. They're not. So I agree with all about connection with the audience.
I think all great advice. All great advice. The one thing I would probably emphasize to someone who is new is that you need to treat every gig as though it's the most high stakes gig you'll ever be involved in.
Right.
Right on.
When you've got people there that are being entertained, whether they're there, they've paid, or they're there, you're doing something for free. It doesn't matter. You should be giving 110%, and that includes preparing.
Yep.
Right. Being prepared. Again, I was kind of kidding, but not really. The winging it, it's easy to get into that kind of idea. Well, it's just an open mic, and but not only are you're depriving the audience, you're hurting yourself.
Sure.
Be a consummate professional. This is, a very competitive. We're very blessed to be able to do it, and we shouldn't take it lightly. And that's my opinion. And since it's my show, I'm going to say it.
No, you're right, though. You're right. I mean, people paid to see your show, even if they paid or not, but they came to see your show. Give them a show. I don't care if it's 10 people. I don't care if it's a couple hundred people. You give them the 100%. They appreciate it more. I've done a show once for 12 people during a blizzard. I did 2 hours. I had a ball with them. They loved it because they knew I gave my all, and I didn't just bail out because it wasn't a big audience. They appreciate that.
Yeah, and there's another good reason too. Even if you're on, it's only a 2-minute spot or 5-minute spot. You never know who's in that audience.
That's right.
Yep.
You never know. Could be a TV executive. Could be a Netflix person.
Yep.
Could be Joe Rogan's maid. You don't know.
Right.
You don't know.
No.
I mean, crazier things. Believe me, I've heard crazy stories, and that kind of stuff happens.
Oh yeah.
Well, I want to thank my panel.
Thanks
See if
for
I can do. I got to do a little Paul Venier mental.
Index finger.
Dewayne White. Thank you so much. Zygy Susser, Ellen Orchid, and of course the great Paul Venier. You guys will be have links to their social media and other ways to connect with them on the video. And I'd like you to just keep in mind that we're kind of new, and I know it's a little weird and nothing's perfect here, but that's the kind of thing, allowance we've given ourselves. We're just going to try and have fun, just like Mr. Venier said.
And
so
plus, I'll be right side up.
Yeah, right. If I'll even if you're not in the video, I'm going to make you sideways. With that, I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the show, please share it with others. Post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Comedy Reset. Thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Appreciate it, Rob.
When do we get paid?